Hi, Lisi, Trey, Lisa. Oh, Lisa, I meant to DM you back. You were asking about the amethyst eye mask. I did get mine, but it took a few weeks. So, if you're still here, that was that. Definitely the shipping took a little while. Um, just playing around with some filters here on the YouTube live. Yours arrived. Okay, good. All right, so how's everybody doing today? How are we feeling? How is Cancer season treating us? My cousin's gonna come on in a second, and we're gonna talk about just the vibes, an intuitive energy pull. I pulled a really funny card this morning that just made me laugh, and it just said, "What a time to be alive," from the postcards in the liminal space deck. And I so resonate with that. It's like, what a time to be alive. We're just in this wild, completely transformative time. But then also this week with Cancer season and the eclipses and the retrogrades, there's like a lot of just things that are coming up for me and people around me of like, yeah, we just have to navigate the big things and then the little things. You know, that's just kind of what life is actually. So I'm working on some resources to hopefully help us with that, to keep our revolutionary spirits nourished, hydrated spiritually, and just thriving, so we can keep this momentum going. Good morning, Arden. Mama Mads, Mama Mad Juice, it's me. So I have good news today. Venus stations direct, and we'll be starting her engines up. You know, she's not gonna make a quick 180, but she's gonna go from being in that standstill in that one part of your chart where she's been parked, depending on your zodiac sign. I think there's things on my YouTube about that if you wanted to go back and look and see like what did happen to me this past few weeks. She's been there since May 13th. So what happened? What didn't happen is the better question. Since May 13th, what did you learn about? Let's review. Venus is the planet of love, worthiness, values, what we appreciate, what what makes us feel safe in the world is very Venus. Venus, the goddess planet of beauty, aesthetic, Venusian things are also very tied to justice, especially with the Libra. Hi, sister. Hi. So, lots going on, lots happening, and with the transition of Venus going direct, might mean that if you had some lessons, I said that the last time Venus went retrograde was 2 years ago, and this last time Venus went retrograde in Gemini was 8 years ago. So we're closing out like a micro chapter of the past 2 years, but we're almost closing out a book for the past 8 years. So what's your book? What would be the title of your book? What was the lesson that you learned over the past 8 years? Maybe the chapter within that. Venus and Gemini, like how we talk about love, how we advocate for ourselves and others, how we find the interconnection between us and another human, right? It's very Gemini is like a partnership energy. And how do we, I love looking at Venus through the air signs of Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, because those are all the zodiac signs that relate to relating, that relate to people. So it's interesting that those are the air signs and the detachment. So the universe is wise and loving and knows that part of evolutionary tools for relationships require a certain amount of detaching and taking a step back and looking at things not just with the heart but with the head. So I'd be curious, what have you learned over the past 2 years and then 8 years? And I think that's a great reflection, journaling prompt. So Venus moving forward, Venus stationing direct, is going to be about, well, like personally, it's going to be about beauty, like time to do get back on your beauty routine. I think all of us have had the longest Venus retrograde ever with quarantine. So the time to definitely like tend to your outward self. But of course, Venus going direct, you might have just felt like there's some like stagnant energy in your relationships, and so you just want to look at the why, that curiosity, that sacred observer, the thing that the air signs are so good at doing. You know, water signs, it's like we're all one. That's what we're in Cancer season right now. We're all one, and we're all just this one viscous liquid being. Fire signs are like, let's go, let's make this happen, passion, and just burn each other up with this passion, which I love. Earth signs are like, let's build something, let's get grounded together, let's really be in our bodies. And but air signs come in Venus to really teach us about like, okay, like, you know, variety, mixing things up. You know, how can we shake this up a little bit? So definitely lots of shake-ups happening this Venus retrograde of these last 6 weeks. But also like, how can I observe something about myself and other people and love and how we treat each other with that arm's length? And I think we've all been able to do that with the Black Lives Matter movement. I think we're all looking at everything with a little bit of this arm's length. Like, why do I think that? Where did that come from? You know, what is the policy or the system that kind of told me to think that? What are the words that we use? It's the big thing we've talked about with our cosmic bosses for Gemini season, the power of words. What are the words we speak to ourselves and others? What are the words that kind of got slipped into our vernacular without us even realizing how harmful or problematic they can be? We talked about that. And we're learning so many words to educate and empower ourselves now, not only with love and self-love, but also how to advocate for others, or how to advocate in a conversation that's uncomfortable, but using words really as our sword and shield. That's the beauty of education. So, and yes, value building, Jessica, like super conscious value building is very Venus and Gemini. Like, let's get that mind computer ramped up to consciously deconstruct and unpack old values about ourselves and society and people around us and people that don't look like us and people that, you know, we don't necessarily like emotionally we feel like connected to them. And so I've been reading, rereading Me and White Supremacy by Layla Absad, and she was talking about the color blindness and how problematic that is in white supremacy. And I was thinking about, yeah, like that's very water energy, is like, I don't see color, we're all connected. But the air energy requires us to take a step back and say, no, we are different. That is a fact. It's okay, it's more than okay, it's beautiful, but then I need to readjust certain things thusly. And it's a little bit of a harder route to do that because it's easier to be like, I don't see color. It's like, well, that's very convenient for you to say that. And that kind of bypasses over a lot of work and discomfort of knowing the privilege you hold as a, you know, white presenting, white skinned person. So Venus and Gemini really had me, I was talking about my dad. I had read his birth chart before, but we were unsure about his birth time, so it got confirmed. Turns out my dad's a Leo sun, Gemini moon, Gemini rising, which just makes so much sense because that man can talk. Like, he can talk. And he's always studying and he's always questioning things, and he was the person who truly taught me to question everything. He taught me the line, like, when you meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha. Like, just when you think you figured it all out, if you think you're close to enlightenment, you are far from enlightenment, honey. So he taught me that, and we were talking about words this weekend, and you know, he with his Leo, he was getting very emotional just about, you know, the state of our country, and even just his own like implicit bias and the things that, even as someone who questions things that he didn't even think to question, and the eye opening and the just the things that stir up. And you know, he really talked about like we need to clear ourselves out. We need to like empty all of ourselves out so we can rebuild. And I thought about, I was like telling him, yeah, I'm like, he's actually pretty hep to the knowledge and the words, and I was trying to teach him words. He knew a lot of them. We were talking just about, white fragility and tone policing and spiritual bypassing, and he had those on lock. But really, when I said the word unpacking to him, it struck a chord of unpacking privilege, because, like he said, we need to make ourselves this clear channel, and that comes from spiritual work, emotional work, and then this education and this social justice work. And he really he's like, yeah, like unpacking, like when you unpack something, you don't just take out half the things, you have to put everything on the table and look at everything in your life. And unpacking is tedious as fuck. As anyone who's ever moved or unpacked from a vacation, I'm that person who will leave like my suitcase in the corner for a month after a trip. Unpacking sucks. Like, it just is tedious, but it pays off, and it's so satisfying, and it's obviously the thing we have to do. So this unpacking, Venus and Gemini, this like detached thing, has felt really present to me. And of course, the power of words, the harmful power of words, and the reconstructive, affirming, empowering energy of words. So, yes, oh my God, Arden, the collective meat suits, cosmic meat suits. We are just conscious meat suits, we've learned from Arden's downloads this month, which is so true. So I'm just, Venus, Gemini going direct also was my prediction. That was the first round of, when people were asking, what does astrology say about Corona? I was like, it's saying a lot of things. Definitely Venus going Gemini direct, going direct was going to be the first round, I thought, of things opening, and that seems pretty on track. But also astrology shows that, there is going to be some retrograde stuff happening end of August. We are in a lot of planets retrograde. So I just want to remind everyone, this is just your practical magic for the day. Just be mindful still with coronavirus. We started saying 4 months ago, wash your hands and don't be a racist. It's still very important. Just because it's warm out and because we want to do all the summer things doesn't mean that, the Rona isn't still real. So yes, definitely June 24th, 25th is when I thought the first big round of things opening would happen again. But definitely, end of August into fall, there's some stuff that looks like it could come back. So I just want everyone to be mindful of that, okay? Kay doesn't unpack for months. So funny. Yeah, so just think about that, of how that feeling of dread and fatigue that we have around just unpacking a box or a suitcase. Like, we have to confront that but then unpacking our biases. Yeah, wear your mask, wash your hands, don't be racist. If you're not wearing a mask in a public place, then that is just, to quote signs I saw on Instagram, that racism is small dick energy, so is not wearing a mask. And I don't mean that literally. No harm ever against people with the package, but it's more of the energy you carry. Wear a mask, wash your hands, don't be a racist. Started saying it a few months ago. It still rings true. Oh yeah, now Kirsten's gonna visit me for the card of the day. What's happening? I'm excited to get the download.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, which I just realized it was Wednesday 25 minutes ago.
Yeah, it took me a while we had Lila's birthday yesterday. I was like, it's not Saturday? What's up?
Oh, happy birthday to Lila.
Thank you. She's so cute.
She's so cute. I found, I was trying to find a really good Puck happy birthday gif. They're kind of lacking, but don't worry. They had lots of Nick Jonas. They had lots of Jonas happy birthday gifs. Your post about what she asked for her birthday.
Her list. So good. She wanted us to paint the portrait of Puck. Did I tell you that? So she wanted a life-size painted portrait of her, Puck, and Nick Jonas side by side. I was like, there's rare that I can't make your birthday wishes come true, but I don't have the time right now to take up
full scale
portraiture.
I love some background on Kirsten's beautiful children, Lila, the middle, Cancer, just goddess, animal, whisperer, is like in a thruple crush with Nick Jonas. I always get them all confused. And Puck. And Lifestyle.
Yeah.
I love that request. Like, Mom, can you just casually? And then she also wanted what, a chicken?
She wanted chickens.
Chicken
she wanted
stroller?
A cat
stroller. A cat.
And yeah, those were her top 3. And then there was another list that was like, see other list was number 4.
Can we just talk about how epic that birthday list is? Life-size portrait of me and my dream husband, my dream boyfriend.
Nick and her boyfriend, Puck. That's the way she refers to them.
And a cat stroller and a chicken. Like, literally, that's just so epic.
Such a nut. Oh my gosh.
So, what's going on? What are the cards have in store for us today?
What should we say? Should we pull a tarot card?
Yeah.
I pulled Eros this morning. I'm late. I'm late and confused about what time it is and everything. So I pulled an archetype card. I just pulled an Eros. And that feels really good to me. Like, I think that there's a couple of things that feel really, it feels really important that we're being really conscious about what we're putting into our bodies right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having this, remember back before Corona, when we were going to do that, like, no sugar, no caffeine, no alcohol thing? And I'm back on that because I realize that, like, when I'm just feeling super sensitive, I actually can't have caffeine. And then if I have a coffee, then I tend to want to have a glass of wine or a cocktail in the evening. And, like, I've noticed that there's, like, a connection to those two things. And I also noticed that is, like, this Band-Aid that I, like, wrap over feeling not good. And so, like, I've just noticed that if I take those two things away, I might not have as much, like, energy. Yeah, there's something about, like, I might not have as much active, alert energy, but I feel more, like, grounded. I feel more, like, safe and resilient. I don't know how to explain it, but that feels really important. And then when Eros came up, it felt like, how do we make love to ourselves? Like, how do we treat ourselves? We've talked about this, like the most precious lover, right? What foods we would feed that body, how we would put cream on that body, what fabrics we would put against that body, the way we touch ourselves and speak to ourselves, Yeah, I think this idea of cleaner eating it just feels... Yeah. It's interesting to think of. I mean, we know it, right? This is not like a new conversation, but there's the thing about the input into our bodies and the way that keeps our nervous system, like, it's a crutch. And me too. Like, I do it too. I don't have any judgment about that, but there's a way that it, like, I don't know, it, like, buffers what you're feeling. And so I don't really know what to say about that other than
that makes sense.
It feels important that we, like, step back and I think that we really, like, honor these bodies that are performing so much right now energetically. Like, I think we're physically transforming. I've said this to you before.
Yes,
I think our DNA, I think our cellular structure is shifting.
We are. So what we're actually going through in this eclipse is, like, we're being literally, like, pulled through, like, a portal that's, like, shifting into, like, more of that, like, 5D people talk about, like, so it's like we are literally, like, energetically shifting our DNA, and that's what also feels so intense about everything. And, like, you were saying that absolutely, like, this weekend I've been eating, like, pretty clean with Joe. Like, we've been just pretty, like, we kind of kept that thing going from not so strict, but just trying to eat very, like, clean proteins, veggies. And then this weekend I had this, like, big iced coffee, and I went out to Montauk to my dad, and then I just had, like, a few glasses of wine, like, and normally I'm having, like, maybe one, and I had, like, I think, like, 2.5, and I could not come down from that for, like, 3 days. Like, I had, like the caffeine and the alcohol was making me like, existentially question everything about my life. Like,
Totally.
I was like, and I had to say, like, that is not worth it. Like, that is not worth. Like, I was doubting, like, and that's where my shadow energy goes, is, like, guilt that I'm not doing enough, doubt, like, and like a heavy, and like the heaviness of my central nervous system felt so, like I was lethargic, but while like being jittery, which is pretty much the worst combination. So it's interesting as you said that. I was thinking at least through this eclipse, through July 5th, I need to be really drinking my water, grounding, lots of veggies, like that caffeine and alcohol.
Yeah,
like,
and I also think like
not good for me right now.
You know, it numbs our sensitivity, right? Which is why we do it, because we're sensitive. But then on the upside, like when you feel good, when we get back to that Gay Hendricks moment of connection and flow, you actually numb that too, right? So it's like you're numbing both sides. You're narrowing your ability to like your realm of experience, and so I don't know. It feels like I get why I do it. I get why we do it, and I also feel like I don't want to play that way anymore. Like, I don't want to play that way where I have to numb any of it anymore because I don't know. There's something about it feels precious. Like maybe life just feels more precious because of everything that's going on, or for our health, our bodies feel more precious to me.
Yeah.
So it's super interesting, and anyways, so I pulled, when I just sat here with us, I pulled the 4 of Cups.
Okay.
I like this. You gave me this deck, this Modern Witches, and I haven't really used it. And then one of the women I like a lot on YouTube, she uses it, and so I pulled it back out, and I like it very much. It's really growing on me.
Yes, it's very colorful, and I like her interpretations visually. Okay, so we have the 4 of Cups for today.
So I mean, I think bringing some structure to our emotional realm, but I also the hit that comes through just looking at this is like kind of what we were just saying. Like, let's not rob ourselves of knowing what's coming. Like, let's not rob ourselves of knowing what we're going to experience in all of this. Like, let's like, yes, the 4 of Cups, part of what is happening in that card is it's a sitting back and it's a distancing, it's an objectivity from our emotions. It's like an ordering and a structure around our emotions.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like stepping back and not anticipating what's going to happen, not trying to control what's going to happen, just to kind of, but at the same time being present without attachment with what is happening. There feels to me like this, it would be really nice if we could be present and not project what we're going to feel into the future. Like, you know, because that's part of what we do. We get anxious, and so we're like, well, if X, Y, and Z, and then this is how I'm going to feel, and this is what's going to be. Like, that comes back to the whole idea of like Eros and our bodies, and treating our bodies as like temples that they are. Like, just be here, and then something about being patient with what's going to come, and being patient with what's developing, and not thinking you have the answers. That feels like part of it.
I really resonate with that, and I think so. You know, summer is starting, and it's almost like I think we're so hardwired that summer has a certain feeling to it, that it's like really challenging everyone, including myself, of like, you know, we've had quarantine, which has been its own thing, and now with like the Black Lives Matter movement, and there's the summer, and I started getting anxious this weekend about like, no, like we have so much like work to do. Like, don't go back. Like, we can't just like slip into like summer as if like none of this ever happened, because I was out in Montauk and it kind of felt that way to me. Like, it just kind of felt like, oh, like, because Montauk is kind of like open. I was like, wait, I wasn't expecting that. And also the anxiety that I had just around like not being around people and not doing things. And then I talked to a few people out there, or people visiting or working, and they were talking about kind of what you were saying with the alcohol and then the numbing. They're like, we just feel really numb right now. I'm really like listless. And I was like, yes. And it's like, I think like that is kind of in some ways, not that there's anything wrong with that, but the feeling in, because we've just woke up in so many ways to see certain things, so many things. So like the things that used to maybe light you up, or at least on the surface, might not be doing it anymore. Like, And especially summer, it felt like we all kind of understood that maybe for quarantine, but like, no, of course, getting like a lobster roll and going to yoga class at the beach, of course that's gonna make me feel better. But it's
Yeah.
like
Totally, Maddie. Yeah.
and
Right.
that,
We went to dinner last night, and at Lala's favorite restaurant, and it just wasn't the same. Like, it didn't have the same feeling, and that's part of the grief that I think is coming up for everyone in this new moon is like this urge to return to normal, and then we're finding ourselves going to the places that are normal, and they don't feel the same. And that's what I mean about like our bodies, to be really, really compassionate with the fact that our bodies are going through this like cellular shift. And so then the Eros, right? Then the thing is, what does feel good? Like where is my pleasure right now? Like where do I feel my heart open? Where do I feel good?
right.
And maybe it's not going to be, I mean, I love a cocktail. I love a coffee in the morning. Like that's, I feel really comfortable saying that and feeling that. But those things aren't bringing me the pleasure they did. And so I was habitually reaching for a coffee. And then one day I was like, I actually don't like drinking coffee in the morning anymore. Let myself feel that, right? And so it's like, oh, I actually feel so much better being a little slower in the morning, like, not quite having my get up and go. And in some ways, the world's offering us that opportunity, right? We're still kind of in this quarantine. We're still unsure.
Right.
And, it is summer. Like I said on my video, but like yesterday the kids and I were sitting, it was so hot. And all of a sudden this like cold breeze came in. And it was just this moment where you're like, oh my God, that feels so good, right? And it's like, maybe that's okay if it's just a little bit. So just really slowing it down and bringing it back to the present moment. And what am I feeling right now? And what is going to expand me right now? What is going to make love to my body right now? What's going to make love to my
It has to happen to the body
Yeah.
so much because we do have the things. This is what makes me feel good. This is what I love to do. This feels good. And I'm not telling anyone that you have to give up something permanently.
No.
But in this moment, like that was for me. Like in this moment this weekend, I was like, that used to be my joy. Like, oh my God, driving around Montauk with an iced coffee. Like that's like all my years of working out there. Like that was like, oh, that was my reprieve, But I'm like, have really shifted a lot in the past few years. Definitely the past few months and weeks. And I think that Four of Cups is like the fear of the unknown. I would say the Four of Cups is like you could be withdrawing into yourself, the fear of the unknown, but it's really just like sit. Whenever I say the fours, it's like how is four is like balance. So if we're like someone we did breath work, Alicia from Afro Yoga on Monday led us this breath work, and she talked about your pelvic bowl. Like imagine it was like 2 cups of water, and and that's what 4 feels like to me too. It's just like, okay, like just sitting, and there's that urgency. Like to me, depression and anxiety is like, anxiety is going so far in that future, or depression is withdrawing so far within, and just like the 4 of Cups is like being so present with what is for the body, the container, the vessel, and it's challenging sometimes.
It's so challenging, but
yes.
God or the divine, if you can be courageous enough to like land.
And time is just